Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 3 English lesson on abbreviation. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 3. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of abbreviations. All right. So we're doing abbreviations. And in our previous lesson, we also did abbreviations. So this is going to be a continuation of the lesson that we did yesterday. And then we're just going to finish off the rest of abbreviations. Right? So in our previous lesson, we did where we had to abbreviate days of the week, months of the year, and we also had to abbreviate people's titles, right? And we say that there are 7 days of the week or 7 days in the week. And when we abbreviate those days of the week, right? And then it's either we abbreviate it to, it's like you're shortening the words to either 3 words or 4 words of that actual word that you're writing. And whenever you abbreviate the word, it needs to be followed by a period. And all abbreviations needs to be abbreviations with days of the week, months of the year, as well as people's titles. That needs to be capitalized. So to be capitalized. But now today we're going to abbreviate customary units of measures, right? So we're going to abbreviate customary units of, and before we continue, right, we are doing abbreviations. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 3, and the lessons that we are focusing on today is to abbreviate customary units of measurements, as well as to abbreviate metric units of, right? So whenever you measure something, right, which we are going to get to, then instead of saying the full word, you are shortening that specific word, right? And that is either customary units of measurements or metrics of measurements. So when we go to customary units of measurements, right? Firstly, we said that an abbreviation, it is a short version of a word, right? So we shorten that word, that specific word. And when abbreviate, do not forget the period. So when you shorten that word, and then that word needs to be shortened and followed by a period. And units of measurements, right? It is often abbreviated in recipes, and it can be abbreviated in informal writing. So a recipe you're baking, cooking, right? Making something. So now they'll be like, okay, you need to throw a pinch of this. You need to throw a gallon of, you need to throw an ounce of, a pint of something, a teaspoon of, right? A tablespoon of something. That is what they'll tell you when it comes to recipes, right? Because now you need to measure something. And when we abbreviate units of measurements, it does not actually it shouldn't be written with a capital letter, right? It needs to all just be written with lower cases. And if we look at the examples at the bottom, right? Here at the bottom we have a few common abbreviations, right, of units of measurements. And the examples that we have is, let's say, for example, you want to say it is 1 foot or 2 foot, 2 feet or 5 feet tall or something, or short or something. Then if you want to make mention of foot or feet, then we can only say FT and not forgetting the period. So we shorten it to FT period. If you want to say how many gallons of milk, gallons of liters or something that you need to throw in, then instead of saying gallons or gallon, you're just going to say gal, which is G and period. If you want to say how many inches of something, right? And then you're just going to say in. So if you want to say how many inches something is, and then you're just going to say in and a period. How many miles, right? Or 1 mile, 5 miles. Then we're going to say MI for to indicate the miles, and that is period. If you want to make mention of how many ounces of something you need to throw in, right? And then the amount of ounces, if we abbreviate it, it's going to be abbreviated to Oz or OIT period. And like I said, do not forget the period and because the period is an indication that we are abbreviating or shortening that specific word. If you want to say how many pint or pints of something, then we say PT. PT period. How many pounds? LB for pounds, right? And as if you notice, everything else is kind of similar to how the word is. So it's like shortening just to what the word or letters are. But with pounds, it's LB, right? There isn't even L and there isn't even a B in the word pound, but LB. Then we have quart or quarts, and it's QT. Tablespoons, right? If you want to say how many tablespoons of sugar, how many tablespoons of flour or something, and then we can just say TBSP, right? But if you want to say how many teaspoons, right? Because a teaspoon is a bit smaller, and then we say TSP because a teaspoon is a bit smaller. So now you may be like, okay, if you want to give the recipe of how to make a cup of tea, then you can maybe say throw in 3 teaspoons of sugar. And if you want to say yards, right? Yards, and then YD for yards. And like I said, not forgetting the period. Right? So these are a few abbreviations, or more like these are the common abbreviations for units of measurements, right? And usually units of measurements, you'll either find it in recipes or when you are, for example, using informal writing. And informal writing is where you can basically use your abbreviations as long as the period is there. Once you write your abbreviations with the period, right? The reader will be able to get an indication that, okay, this word is abbreviated, but you cannot use the abbreviated language, for example, in formal writing. That is now for units of measurements. Right? All right. If we look at this word, right? It says you need to abbreviate the unit of measurement. So we need to abbreviate the unit of measurement. It says 1 ounce. So ounce. How do we abbreviate the word ounce? And you may look at these words here at the bottom. How are we going to abbreviate the word ounce? If we were to abbreviate the word ounce, what is ounce going to be abbreviated to? So we need to abbreviate the word ounce. If we say 1 ounce, how are we going to abbreviate that word? Ounce. And you can look at the words that you see here at the bottom. All right, then if we are going to abbreviate the units of measurement, right, then ounce is going to be OZ and a period. I don't know why this don't want to make a period. Okay. Right? So that is ounce, which is OZ, right? And a period. And here we have the example of an ounce, right? So 1 ounce, if we abbreviate the word ounce, it is OZ and a period. And remember, not forgetting the period at the end, because the period at the end is a clear indication that we are abbreviating. We are now shortening that specific word, right? All right. And well done for trying. So well done. Yes, I like that. We need to abbreviate inch. We're going to abbreviate inch. How are we going to abbreviate inch? What's the abbreviation for inch? If we were to give the abbreviation of inch, what would the abbreviation of inch be? All right, but remember what must come after that word. If we abbreviate, remember if we abbreviate, we need to also put the period, right? So that is correct, but we need to not forgetting the period at the end, because the period at the end will give us an indication that it is abbreviated. It is now short version or shortened version of that word, right? So we're going to put our period at the end. But in is correct. For inches, say in. I say, it is in now period, right? So the period is the indication that we are abbreviating that word. All right. What is the abbreviation of teaspoon? Yes, so well done. In period. Right, that is correct. What is the abbreviation for teaspoon? If we say you need to throw in 1 teaspoon of sugar, what is the abbreviation for teaspoon? The abbreviation for teaspoon. So we need to give the abbreviation for teaspoon. So we need to give the abbreviation for teaspoon. A teaspoon. Remove the E. So just remove the E and then you leave the other letters and the period. Here you have a few examples of it. Yes, well done. Now just put the period also there. All right, yes. So if we abbreviate teaspoon, right, and then teaspoon is T is P followed by our period, right? That is the abbreviation for teaspoon. That is basically, like we can say, the shorter or shortened version of teaspoon. So well done. Remember, whenever we abbreviate the word or we shorten that version of the word or we shorten that word and then we shorten the word, but it needs to follow with a period. So well done. All right, so let us go to our test, right? So now we're going to our test and we're going to see if we can abbreviate units of measurements, right? All right, if they are asking, we need to abbreviate the unit of measurement, 1 yard. If we abbreviate the word 1 yard, right? Is 1 yard YD or is it YR? If we were to abbreviate yard, is it YD or YR? All right, and if we, for example, select the correct abbreviation for yard, then yes, we are going to choose the first option and followed by period. So well done. I like the fact that you wrote down the abbreviation and it is followed by a period. So well done. 1 pound. 1 pound. We need to abbreviate the word 1 pound. Is a pound PO or is a pound LB? 1 pound. Is it PO or LB? We need to abbreviate pound. Remember I said pound is the only word that you shorten, but it does not have the same letters. So pound, we need to shorten pound. Is it PO or LB? All right, and if we choose the correct unit of measurement, we're gonna say it's LB. Because remember I said that when it comes to a pound, right? The pound is the only common unit of measurement that we made an example of that does not have the same letters as what the word is when you shorten it, right? So well done. LB is correct. No, guys, it's fine. Don't worry. We can remove our answers and write another one. Let's go. Abbreviate the units of measurement for inch. 1 inch. Is 1 inch INC or is 1 inch IN? So 1 inch, is it INC or is it IN for inch? All right, and if we were to choose or abbreviate the word 1 inch, right, and then we're going to say 1 inch is IN, right? IN. So well done. IN is correct. All right, we need to abbreviate teaspoon. Teaspoon, is teaspoon TSP or is teaspoon TS? 1 teaspoon, is a TSP or is it just TS for teaspoon? We need to abbreviate teaspoon. Is it TSP or is it just TS? Teaspoon. You may ask your question. All right, so teaspoon is TSP. So well done. TSP is correct. You may ask a question. All right, let's go to the next one before we go on to the next lesson. 1 gallon. We need to abbreviate the word gallon. If we want to say that we need to have 1 gallon of milk or something, is gallon GALN or is gallon GAL? Remember, you also need to put the period at the end, right? You also need to put the period at the end of that word when you shorten the word to show that we are abbreviating the word. Only one period, one. All right, yes. All right, and if we choose gallon, then we can say gallon is GAL. So well done. Gal is correct. And remember, guys, let's not forget to put the period at the end of that word, right? And that will basically show that it will basically just show that we have abbreviated that word, right? We have shortened that specific word. All right, let's do the last one. 1 foot. We need to abbreviate this unit of measurement by saying 1 foot. Is 1 foot or feet? Is it FT or FOT? FT or FOT? Feet. Remember, it can either be foot or it can be feet. So is it FT or FOT? So 1 foot, is it FT or FOT? All right, and if we choose the abbreviation of 1 foot or feet, right? And then we're going to say it is FT, right? For foot, or it can be feet. So well done. FT is correct, right? So we said that when it comes to units, customary units of measurements is also shortened versions of that specific words, right? And it can be used either for recipes or for measurements, right? That is the units of measurements. Now we're going to abbreviate metric units of measurements. So we're going to abbreviate metric units of measurements, right? And metric units of measurements is usually your milliliters, millimeters, kilometers, centimeters, right? It is to do with grams or liters or meters, right? And Once again, an abbreviation is a short version of a word, right? That is just to remind us that an abbreviation is a short version of a word. It can be any word that you abbreviate. And remember, when we abbreviate the word, it is followed by a period. But in this case, we don't follow it with a period. So this words over here, when it comes to the units of measurements, we are not going to put a period at the end of this word, right? So units of measurements, right? It is often abbreviated also in recipes, and these ones we also abbreviate in informal writing. We can either measure a ruler, you can measure a room, you can measure a desk, you can literally measure anything, right? With these units of measurements. And the common abbreviations for units of measurements are millimeters, right? So millimeters are more your shorter or smaller things that you measure, right? So millimeters, usually you measure like your smaller things, like a fingernail, you can either measure with it, something very small. Um, what is something very small that we can measure? I'm thinking now with a with the side of the millimeters. Even like an eraser that is small, right? You can use millimeters. Then we have centimeters, and centimeters is something a bit bigger that we can measure. And also, when we measure millimeters, millimeters is mm, no period, just mm. Centimeters is cm, and this is more when you measure more your bigger things like your table, and you measure. Remember, a ruler has got 30 centimeters on. You can measure you can even measure, let's say, a cupboard with the centimeters, right? A wardrobe or something. And then we have the meters. Then we have meters. And a meters is basically 100 centimeters long, right? So which means that if you want to measure the size of a room, then you would use a meter stick. Otherwise, you're going to use this ruler all the time and you're going to be like 30 centimeters plus 30 centimeters plus 30 centimeters all the time, right? Whereas you might as well just use a meter stick, because a meter stick, it measures bigger things or longer lengths. And when we measure something in meters, meters is only m, right? So millimeters is mm, centimeters is c, but meters is m. Then kilometers, right? Kilometers. Usually when you're driving, then we can, for example, measure the distance from, let's say, one town to the other town in the form of kilometers. Or we can measure in the form of kilometers from my house to the shop, right? That is not in kilometers. And when we abbreviate kilometers, then it's going to be km. Then we also have milligrams, which is also smaller. And milligrams is mg. And then we also have a gram, which is a bit bigger, which is G. And then we have kilograms, which is bigger, which is kg. Like you get your milligrams of things that you maybe buy goods in the shop, right? Kilogram of sugar, kilogram of flour. And then liters, right? Liters is anything to do with liquid, right? And milliliters, ml. And that is, for example, if you maybe want to measure maybe the amount of water in a glass, right? In a glass, or the amount of water that you threw in a cup. So now you can say it's so many milliliters. And then a liter, right, is like maybe 1 liter of milk or something, right? And usually 1 liter is a bit bigger, right? All right. And if we abbreviate now a few of the words, if we abbreviate the word kilogram, and remember you can look over here. Yeah, we have a few common abbreviations. And remember these words, right? When we abbreviate these units of measurements, then we do not use, these words don't end with a period, right? They do not end with a period. All right, so how are we going to abbreviate kilogram? How are we going to abbreviate kilogram? What is the abbreviation for kilogram? So we need to give the abbreviation for kilogram. And you may look at the bottom where we see the common units or metric units. All right, and if we choose the abbreviation for kilograms, then yes, the abbreviation for kilograms is kg, right? It's kg. So well done. Kg is cool. What is the abbreviation for kilometers or kilometer? Can either some people say kilometers, some people say kilometers. So what is the abbreviation for 1 kilometer or 1 kilometer? So kilometers. What is the abbreviation for kilometers? All right. And if we abbreviate kilometers, right? And then kilometers is km. Remember kilometers, right? And without the period, no period, right? So km is correct. All right, now we're going to our test, right, where we are going to abbreviate metric units of measurement. We need to abbreviate the units of measurement 1 milligram. 1 milligram, is it MI for milligram or MG for milligram? So KI for milligram or MG? MI for milligram, MG for milligram? All right, and if we choose the correct one, we can say it's MG for milligram. So well done. MG is correct. So well done. 1 meter. 1 meter. Is it ME for meter or M for meter? 1 meter. We want to measure the room. So the 1 meter, is it ME or just M for meter? So ME for meter or M for meter? So 1 meter. All right, and if we're going to choose the correct unit of measurement, we're going to say it's M for meter. All right, so well done. M for meter is correct. 1 kilometer or kilometer, is it K for kilometer or KM for kilometer? K for kilometer or KM for kilometer? So K for kilometer or KM for kilometer? Kilometer. Kilometer. And if we choose the correct abbreviation for kilometer, it is KM for kilometer, right? Yes, well done. KM for kilometer is correct. All right, so we did abbreviations are short or shortened versions of a specific word or short versions of a specific word, right? So with abbreviations, we shorten that word. And in today's lesson, we had to abbreviate customary units of measurements as well as metric units of measurements. And both of these we can either use in recipes or to basically measure distance, right? Customary units of measurements follows with a period, whereas units of measurements, it does not follow with a period, right? So once again, abbreviation is a shortened version of a specific word, right? All right, so this is now the end of our lesson, grade 3 on abbreviations. Thank you very much for joining the class. Thank you very much for interacting. And I really hope that you have a better understanding of abbreviations. So until next time, have a good day further. Goodbye.